Hey guys, Pedro here to tell you about the latest from Dawn of Solace, Affliction Vortex, out February 14th on Noble Demon. The album has 9 tracks, 39 minutes in length, and this is the band's 4th full-length studio record. They are a Finnish melodic death doom metal band. When it comes to the design of this album, I feel like this record falls in line with previous albums where the design itself doesn't really impact the appreciation of the record or the way the album flows. It's a record that's designed around its individual songs, the quality of those songs, what those songs have as far as their individual attributes, not necessarily where they are in the track listing. Outside of the intro track on this record, I think you can move songs around and the overall experience of the album is not affected by it. So this falls in line with that more individualistic nature, that more focus on the individual tracks that I've always found Dawn of Solace to have. As far as the sound goes, this is a different sounding album. It still feels and it still comes across as a Dawn of Solace record, but it's an album that feels a lot more open, a lot less doomier, a lot less gothic, a lot less repetitive, I should say. It's an album that opens up different doors, different ideas. It brings more of a melodic death metal experience into the forefront, still keeping the melancholy alive, still keeping that doom gothic essence there, but it definitely gives a little bit more room for the melodic death metal side of the band to breed and to allow these songs to have a lot more space, a lot more depth, and a lot more width. This gives great quality not only to the individual songs, but to the experience that the listener takes away from going across all 9 tracks. It's a more impactful sounding album. At times it feels like a heavier sounding album, and it's an album that sound-wise has a complete correlation with the vocal performance on this album. One feeds off of the other, and when you start to look at how the vocals change the dynamic of an album, I think this record is a definite case study for that, because the vocal performance on this album has an impact on how the songs come across. It has an impact on some of the moments within the songs of how heavy those tracks sound, and I think that's not by accident. I think having an album that pushes in a heavier sound, a heavier experience, a heavier mood, if you will, also brings attached to it a need to have a heavier presence as far as vocal performance is concerned. And that's exactly what you're going to get here. You're going to get harsh vocals from Thomas, you're going to get harsh vocals from Mikko. That dynamic of including both of them in the vocal performance as far as the harsh vocals are concerned definitely opens a different perspective of this band. It changes the paradigm. It changes the way a listener will look at Dawn of Solace going forward. I think if we go back to previous records, there are so many songs that you can point out that perhaps a little bit of harsh vocals here or there would have completely changed the dynamic of those tracks. You could even go as far as to say would have made those songs better. And I think on this record, instead of trying to fit everything into a box of what Dawn of Solace is supposed to be, I think that box was completely removed. It was more about serving the songs, serving the quality of the songs, the mood of the songs, the lyrics of the songs, and then going with a vocal performance that would give the best to that track in order to elevate it to a different level. Now, going back a little bit to the sound, I just want to mention this because within the sound, the drums and guitars on this album really stood out. There are moments where the bass is very predominant, but I never felt like the bass on a Dawn of Solace record was the driving force of the sound or of the album itself. But on this record, I definitely want to mention the drums and guitars because on a guitar front, I felt like the album had a lot more layers. It had a lot more texture to it. There's always be this heavier, thicker sounding guitars that almost give a sense of heaviness and thickness to the songs, but there's always melody as well, either above it driving the tracks or below it creating a much deeper impact to what the overall melodic drive of the song is all about. Then you can also talk about the solos and the quality that they add to these songs, adding a lot of brightness, opening the tracks even more, because like I said, this is a very open sounding album and the solos really help with that. As far as the drums have some heavier moments, but even at their heaviest, they're never overpowering what the overall experience is. They're there to give comfort, to give substance to the songs, but never necessarily feeling like they're moving into the forefront in order to increase the level of heaviness or increase the level of thickness that a track could have. overall my favorite album by Dawn of Solace. It's the most organic one. I feel like it's the most natural one. The vocal performance and the dynamic of the vocals, including the harsh vocals, mixing them in really well with the clean vocals throughout the album. These are all condiments that I've wanted to see on previous records, and I felt like there were some boundaries that they were not willing to overcome. On this record, a more organic feel, a more natural feel. The songs flow a lot better, the sound flows a lot better, and with it goes the vocal performance. As far as favorite songs are concerned, I'm going to start off with Into the Light. Amazing underlying melody under the guitars as the track begins. Under guitars and drums as the track begins. And this allows the song to start off with a very heavy doom experience, both musically and vocally. Then the drums get heavier, the sound gets heavier, the song becomes a lot heavier, and then having this vocal dual layer of clean vocals at the top and harsh vocals underneath it adds heaviness to the vocal performance without changing too much, because the predominant delivery is still those clean melancholic vocals at the top, but the harsh vocals underneath tie in really well with the heaviness of the sound that is present within the track. This dynamic really helps sets the chorus apart. It sets the chorus on fire. It's a track that uses really well that harsh vocals, clean vocal dual experience, if you will, to make the chorus really impactful. And I also like the fact that the song uses clean, more melancholic, doomy vocals in the first verse, and then it goes with pure harsh vocals in the second verse, and having the chorus having a piece of both really allows for the overall vocal lines to be very connected but very dynamic at the exact same time. A song that has a lot of darkness in it, and the chorus really sells it. Next we have Rival, a brighter sounding song, if you will, a more open track. It has this predominant melodic guitar riff, this time at the top, not underneath it, and this allows the track to start off in a very melodic way. Then it moves into a more melancholic C with incredibly haunting vocals, and those clean haunting vocals match the melancholy of the sound of how the song opened up. The track builds up towards a heavier sound, a heavier essence, until it reaches the chorus, where it's more up-tempo, which is more, it has a more of a heavier predominant feel to it. And this gradual build-up makes this song really interesting, because it really feels like you're moving from the ground floor all the way to the penthouse. It's an interesting track from that perspective, because there's growth in sound, and there's a growth also in the intensity, not necessarily in the vocal delivery, but in the intensity of the vocals as the song progresses. Has a great guitar solo that adds to the openness of the song, complementing the track perfectly. Last but definitely not least, Dream. The guitar sound on this song is excellent because it's more of an acoustic track. It has a simplistic approach to that guitar sound, and that allows the vocals to come over the top and feel extremely impactful, almost in your face. Very calm, very connected. There is some heaviness that opens up the doors to the chorus, and I think that's important both musically and vocally. Having Thomas' harsh vocals beneath Mikko's clean vocals is such an interesting dynamic. It works so well on this track. It gives it the thickness that he needs, it gives it the volume that he needs, creating a perfect yin and yang between what the verses give you and what the chorus delivers. It's a track that musically goes on a journey as well, includes more of a melodic doom journey into it. It's just a superb track all around. This is at Dawn of Solace, Affliction Vortex, out February 14th. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Hit me up in the comment section. I'll see you all at the next video. Take care, guys.